Hello everyone, how are you all? Now today we are here with the another topic of landforms, that is the landforms made by glaciers or the glaciated landform features. Now the question comes, what are glaciers? So just like rivers, which are simply you can say the water body which is in motion, the river of ice is considered as glacier according to the layman. But what about the technical things? So if we talk about the glacier, glaciers are considered as the moving ice or the river of ice. Means the moving ice mass down the slope under the impact of gravity will be considered as glacier. Now they are moving, but mind it, you can't notice them with your naked eyes because they are coming down with average 1 to 2 centimeter per year down the slope. Means totally negligible. You can't see them or notice them or their movement. About 10% of the total earth surface you can say is covered with ice, and they are formed due to the accumulation of ice above the snow line under very extreme cold climate. Now the question comes, what is snow line? So simply if we say snow line, the height beyond which the water is present in only solid state is considered as snow line. And always mind it, the snow line can be at different heights on different latitudes, as because we know that our whole earth is latitudinally divided in different temperature belts: torrid, temperate and frigid. Means the maximum temperature is over equator, and as we are moving from equator towards pole, the temperature is decreasing. So with the decrease in temperature, the height of a snow line will decrease. Means over equator, the snow line will be on maximum height, okay, because the temperature is more. But as we are moving towards the higher latitudes, the snow line will start moving down. Means it will be just opposite. Higher the latitude, lower the snow line; lower the latitude, higher the snow line, as because of the temperature. Now then after, the snow line, as I defined you, is the zone between the permanent and the seasonal snow. And as you can see, we have given the image like the mountain glacier, snow line, ice sheet or fern or sea ice or iceberg. Now here you are getting the terms like the mountain glacier and all these. So if we talk about the types of glacier, glaciers are of mainly two types. One are mountain glacier, which are also known as valley glacier or the alpine glacier, and the second one are the continental glacier. By them only we are seeing that the glaciers which are found in mountains or in their valleys will be considered as the mountain glacier, and the glaciers which will be found over the surface, the continental surface, will be considered as continental glaciers. As you can see in image, these are the continental glaciers. Example will be Greenland or Antarctic. Mountain glaciers like the Siachen Glacier, Remo Glacier, Baffo Glacier, Baltoro, all these. So we are moving on to the different types of glaciers also, like we saw the different types of deserts. So in glaciated terms, first one comes the ice sheet or the ice caps. These are the widespread part. You can say the long stretch of the ice is considered as the ice sheet. Means the complete sheet of ice like the Antarctic and the Greenland, and you will find them like this. On the other hand, the continental glacier means those who are present over the surface. Means the ice sheet or the continental glacier will be found in the higher latitudes where the snow line is over to the surface, means 0 meter, like this. Then after, the mountain or the valley glacier, which are found in the mountains like Rupal, Punma, Remo, Hepsar, Siachen, Baffo, all these, in which Siachen is considered as the largest glacier in world outside the polar region, like this. Then after, the Piedmont Glacier means the glaciers which are found on the foot of the mountains like this. And the important one of them is Malaspina Glacier, which is found in Alaska or present in Alaska, is the best example of Piedmont Glacier. Then after, you can see the ice field, Cirques Glacier, Piedmont Glacier, Valley Glacier or the Tidewater Glacier. Now you might be thinking, sir, what is Cirques? We will see them one by one because I know you all have been through all these names. So before that, ice shelf. As you can see, the shelf, these are found in the polar areas, and the important ice shelf is the Ronne-Filchner ice shelf or simply Ross ice shelf of Antarctica. Then after, the ice fields, as you can see, the widespread stretch of snow will be considered as ice fields. And after that, we are moving on to the first erosional features of the glaciers. Then after, we will move on to the depositional feature. In this, the first landform which is formed by the glacier is the U-shaped valley. Now, as you have seen the landforms by river, so there you saw the V-shaped valley and here the U-shape, means just like this. Why it is so? As because the river volume is very less in the mountains, so it will cut down very less part of the mountain, so it will consider as V. But as the glaciers are 3D, they have width, height, or simply you can say the width, length and height. So they will move in 3D manner, and the most important thing is that always mind it, wind and running water or underground water, they do the erosional works, but the glaciers do the plugging. They don't erode the things because they are 3D, so they are moving like this, so they are plugging the rocks from their you can say original position, and the whole rock is plugged out from the ground or from the ridges and they fall over the glaciers, and they can resemble like small hills also. So glaciers used to do plugging, and as because of the height, the slope gradient of the valley will be very high and resembles like capital letter U. The cross section of the glacial valley or the glacial troughs are of the mountains glaciers is U-shape, and the valley walls are very steep with concave slope and broad and flat valley floors. Then after, moving on to the next, that is the hanging valley. Now the question comes, what is hanging valley? So the valleys of tributary glaciers over the valley of main glacier is considered as the hanging valley. How? Let's see in the image. You can see it will resembles like the people hanging, the valley is also hanging. We know that the depth of the main glacier valley will be more because its width, you can say height is more. So the tributary glacier have got less ice, so it will erode, or the valley which it will make will be smaller, means this one. So this valley which has been formed over the valley of main glacier, this is the main glacier. Now when you are standing over the floor of main glacier valley, and when you will see this valley will resemble like hanging on the valley of main glacier, and as the water has ice has retreated, only the water has been left behind, so it will form waterfall simply. So it will be considered as hanging valley. After hanging valley, we are moving on to the next feature, that is cirques. Technically, cirques are the armchair shaped structure of the glaciers. Let me show you. They are like this simply. As because the glacier is eroding or moving down, it will erode down the back side of the mountain and the shape will become like this, an armchair shape or amphitheater chair shape. Just like you sit in PVR, the seat used to move, recline, like this only you will find, and this will be considered as cirques. If we talk about its definition, the armchair shape or the amphitheatric cirques is a horseshoe shaped steep wall depression representing a glaciated valley. Cirques are known by different names in many countries like Quan in Wales, Kuri in Scotland, Kar in Germany and Bot in Norway. Here you will find the glaciated valleys, and mind it, by the time the glacier is not going to retreat, you will not find this feature. After cirque, the next feature which you will find will be the tarn, or also known as the cirque lakes. As I told you, the glacier will do the plugging. So when the glacier was moving down the slope, what the glacier did, it plugged the rock from the base and a depression has been formed over here. Depression. And this depression with the passage of time will get filled with water and form a lake which will be considered as tarn, or simply you can say the cirque lake. After the cirque lake, the next feature which will be formed will be Arêtes. Now the question comes, what are Arêtes? We saw the formation of cirque on the one slope, but when the formation will be on the both slope, means this was the mountain and now the two glaciers are moving in two opposite directions simply. So what will happen, the two cirques will be created on the opposite side, means like this. So it will be considered as Arêtes, and the edge of the ridge will resemble like the edge of knife or sword. You can say, here you can see the two cirques cut back on opposite side of the mountain. The knife edge ridges are formed which are considered as Arêtes. It's a French word. After the Arêtes, suppose instead of two sides, means the glaciers are moving down to the two slopes, three glaciers are moving opposite to each other, means when three cirques will be formed over a single mountain peak, then it will be considered as horn or pyramidal peak. As you can see, the three cirques, 1, 2 and the other side will be the 3. Then it will be considered as horn or pyramidal peak. The mountain where 3 or more cirques are cut back together, then their ultimate recession is known as the horn or the pyramidal peak. Now moving on to the next. After this, the Nunatak. As we discussed earlier in the wind topography, the isolated mountain in the area, desert area will be considered as Inselberg. Here the isolated mountain will be considered, or the hill, as Nunatak. Clear? Now moving on to the next, crag or tail. This is the left behind part or the residual of the hill from where the glacier was coming. Now what will happen, the glacier is going to do plugging over here and it will erode the matter and the slope will resemble like this, means leaving the tail behind, means residual of the hill, one part, and the lower part has been eroded down, so it will be considered as tail or crag. After this, the another feature with the phase-wise retreat of the glacier will be formed or is considered as the glacial staircase, or we term them as cyclopean staircase. As you can see in the image, due to the phase-wise retreat of the glacier, the base has been formed like this, the big steps, and these big steps are considered as glacial staircase. And in European areas, cyclops are the giants, so their steps are big, so their staircase will be big. That's why they are also considered as cyclopean staircase. After the glacial staircase, the next feature which glaciers are going to make will be the depositional features. Till here the erosional features were made. In depositional, the first section of the depositional features will be the moraines, and moraines are mainly of three types: the medial moraine, lateral moraine, and the terminal moraine. Let me show you the medial, terminal, and the lateral moraines. The moraines or the rocks which are going to be deposited on the banks or the sides of the glaciers will be considered as the lateral moraines. Now when the two glaciers will meet, the lateral of these two will become the medial moraines, and at the end the small rocks which will be carried further to the end, means till the snow line, from where the ice is going to melt down and become river, there the moraines which will be deposited will be considered as the terminal moraine. I show you in the diagram also, like see, as you can see, the lateral moraines, medial moraines, end moraines or the terminal moraines. Then after the recessional moraines means left behind, and ground moraines, the base moraines, and the outwash plain means further the small particles which will be carried beyond the, you can say below the snow line, will be considered as the outwash plain. After this, the hummocks. Hummocks are technically the uplifted part, the small uplifted part, as you can see in the kettle, are considered as hummocks. Now you might be thinking, sir, what are kettles? Kettles are nothing but the temporary freshwater lakes, the small lakes formed in the permafrost, or you can say the region between permafrost and seasonal frost region, where the small freshwater lakes are formed. We will see them in the coming features. Then after the drumlins, when the deposition of sediments brought by glacier will be in the form of inverted boat or spoon, then they will be considered as drumlins, as you can see, and they can resemble like a small hill also because they are big. And when these drumlins will be found extensively in a bigger area, then they will be considered as basket of egg topography, as you can see. Then after, Eskers. Eskers are the sinus deposition of sediments which resembles like a ridge, as you can see, but you might be thinking, sir, these are agricultural field and these are the demarcation of those fields. But practically, this image has been taken from a height. These are small ridge which were deposited, the deposited sediment of a glacier. Today, after the retreat of the glacier, they are resembling like the agricultural fields has been formed, and they are resembling like they are partition, but rather they are not partition, but they are small ridges, sinus ridges with steep slope. Then after, kames, small freshwater lakes, as I told you, are considered as kames. And in this way, the glacial topography comes to end. And you saw that many features we found, and always mind, we are seeing these features today, but the process of their formation has been since million of years. Like if we talk about the last ice age, which started near about 2 million years ago and ended from till 10,000 years ago, means after 10,000 years, when the last ice age ended and the ice, the whole earth which was covered with ice started melting, from that time these features has started forming, and today after their retreat we are able to see them. So that's why never think that we are going to see them in the recent years, but rather the glaciers which are present today and the features which they will form will be available after their retreat thousands of years from today. So we will meet in the next class with the next topographic feature, that is the karst topography or underground water topography. So till then, thank you, stay tuned, have a nice day.